this is the outline of my presentation. First of all, I'll explain a little bit who Plan International is, why we work on violence against children and corporal punishment specifically, some details about the Learn Without Fear campaign, some further details about, within this campaign, what we're actually doing practically to encourage positive discipline. And then I'll show a short video at the end which shows some of the progress and success of the campaign. So Plan International is an independent, non-religious and non-political children's international development organisation. We're a rights-based organisation and we focus on children's education and protection. We're very similar to Save the Children, who I'm sure a lot of you will know of. We're founded around 70 years ago, and we're one of the oldest and largest children's international development organisations. We work across 66 countries, Africa, Asia, the Americas and Europe, to promote child rights and lift millions of children out of poverty. Our vision is a world in which all children realise their full potential in societies that respect people's rights and dignity. We have an income of around $700 million a year, 43% of which is spent across Africa. And we work in about 38,000 communities each year, which equates to about 28 million children. We currently run 3 global campaigns. One is around universal birth registration and securing birth registration for all children. One is called Because I'm a Girl, which is about gender equality and girls' education, and then a campaign that I oversee about school violence. Obviously, we've heard a lot about the prevalence of corporal punishment. These are just a few sort of facts from our research that we work on. So yeah, our numbers show that around 1 million children each day are suffering from school violence around the world. We've done a variety of child-led questionnaires. One in Ghana, Guinea-Bissau, and the Philippines showed that 16% of all participants have been inappropriately touched by their teachers. A survey across our country offices and with our children showed that the most prevalent forms of violence in schools were corporal punishment, sexual violence, and bullying. So the Learn Without Fear campaign actually focuses on all three elements of violence. But today, obviously, I'll just focus on corporal punishment, given the focus of the workshop. We also take a very gendered view to our work at Plan, and sort of look about how the violence varies for boys and girls. A couple of things that we found is that boys and male teachers are more likely to use physical violence, while girls and female teachers tend towards verbal and social bullying. Girls fear violence in schools more than boys, but we found that boys are actually worse affected by corporal punishment, such as in Egypt, where 80% of boys we found were affected by corporal punishment as opposed to 67% of girls. So moving on specifically to corporal punishment. From all of our programme work around the world that I've spoken on, we see firsthand a lot of the prevalence and the horrific impact of corporal punishment against children. Some of the consequences we've seen are poor learning outcomes. For example, we believe that Plan states that corporal punishment increases dropout rates and reduces enrollment rates. In Bangladesh, where our campaign runs at the moment, since the campaign launched, and in this specific area of Bangladesh, it focuses on reducing corporal punishment, the dropout rates have reduced from 15% to 12%. And in terms of enrollment rates in Liberia, where we run the campaign, there's been 100% increase in all the schools where Plan runs that campaign in Liberia. So we're making some good progress. In terms of psychological trauma, we did some research in Brazil. Lots of children reported that the pain is not always physical, as I'm sure many of you know, and they describe the pain in their hearts. And we've seen across our programs the sort of trauma and depression, even suicide that the violence can lead to. Clearly, there's physical injury as a consequence, which at times we've experienced children in our communities even dying as a result of corporal punishment. Recently, we've also done some work into the economic consequences of corporal punishment. Last year, we did some research with ODI, the Overseas Development Institute, that many of you might know of. This is a summary of that research called Prevention Pays. We did some research across 13 countries, including the US actually as well. And that showed that the cost of school violence, which we measured in terms of foregone social benefits, was a massive $60 billion US. That's $60 billion US just across 13 countries. And although we launched the campaign as a rights-based organisation because of a child's right to education free from violence, we are finding that this economic argument at the moment is a very strong lobbying tool, and we're lobbying for legislation change. So do take a copy with you. There's some at the back, and you can find the full big piece of research on our campaign website, which might link to some of your countries specifically, which would be useful. In terms of, we have also at the back and on our website is our position paper on corporal punishment, which we launched with the campaign. So I'll just read out to you quickly where Plan stands on corporal punishment. You see, corporal punishment is a global problem which must be tackled in order to protect children. Saying that corporal punishment can result in economic, physical or psychological harm. That teachers are vital allies and play a critical role in stopping violence against children and upholding child rights. That it's unacceptable that children have less protection from assault than adults. That non-violent discipline methods can promote human rights and help to eradicate violence from society. And corporal punishment demands a prompt, measurable, multidisciplinary and child-sensitive response. Happy to be here on behalf of Plan today to talk about it. So just in terms of some more specific details about the Learn Without Fear campaign. So yeah, it was launched in 2008, and the vision is a world where children can go to school in safety and expect a quality learning education without fear or threats of violence. Specifically, we set up three initial campaign goals. The first one is laws protecting children from violence in schools exist and enforced in every country, and those responsible for keeping children safe deliver on their promises and fulfill their duties. Second is children and adults respect and promote children's rights to protection from violence in schools. And thirdly, all governments recognise the scale and severity of school violence and ensure the provision of appropriate care and support for children affected by violence in schools. In setting out to achieve these goals, we currently run the campaign in 60 countries of the 66 where Plan works. The focus of the campaign is very much on developing countries, and mostly in developed countries we do awareness raising and marketing for the campaign work in the developing countries. So within this campaign, I'll just explain in more detail sort of what we are practically doing to encourage positive discipline. All of Plan's programme work is developed around, is child-centred. We call it our child-centred community development approach, which is CCCD. As such, children are at the centre of all of our work to reduce corporal punishment and encourage positive discipline. We're currently undertaking child-friendly questionnaires across 11 of our country offices to ask children about their experiences with violence since the campaign has been running. And when the campaign first started, we did this questionnaire across around 40 countries, so we're going to be able to look back at the results and see how things are moving forward. And when the questionnaires were originally done, they very much were the sort of foundation for the campaign strategy at the national level. Children also take part in communicating the campaign. And we've worked out there around 600,000 children so far have communicated the campaign through TV shows or radio shows or peer-to-peer education and theatre productions, a wide range of activity. Children are also essential to our lobbying work for legislative change at a global level and national level. Earlier this year, I was at the Commission on the Status of Women at the UN in New York, And for the first time, our planned delegation was 50% children and youth and 50% staff, which was great. And they very much led on the panels and speech and social media, every aspect of it, and we were sort of really there supporting them. And it was, actually Johnny couldn't hear me, but it was interesting to hear from him yesterday talking about meaningful child participation, because we really try, especially with our lobbying work, to use children as, or encourage them to be agents of change themselves rather than sort of taking them with us on the journey. So similarly, at national level, they take part in child parliaments, they lead and speak at workshops and summits. And currently, our lobbying work, we're working in 27 countries at the moment for legislative change, obviously in partnership with the Global Initiative and other organisations that are here over these few days. A main programme element of our campaign is around training teachers, training them in positive discipline methods, which we undertake most of the training through partner organisations. We'll be talking about that in a bit. And mostly, well, this is the main manual that we use around PLAN, which was developed by PLAN Vietnam a few years ago. We also have our German office has already also just recently developed a slightly different, more child-focused manual as well, whereas that is more of a teachers-focused manual. And to date, we've trained over 20,000 teachers around the world, and over the next 2 years, we have plans to train 100,000 more. Teachers are very much our main allies in this campaign, and they're increasingly carrying out the training themselves, and so we have teachers training other teachers. Earlier this year I was in the Philippines and went to an amazing session of a Filipino teacher who had just stood up in front of this room full of teachers and explained how he used to hit his children at home and at school, and then he went to one of these training sessions and how it's just completely changed the way he teaches. It was really amazing to see it, and so that's great. And we're also just about to undergo some research, hopefully with Education International, who are the global teachers union, into really trying to figure out why teachers are sort of forced to use corporal punishment sometimes. We're also training other people in the community, from journalists, policemen, women, and local community and religious leaders. Obviously, we accept that violence if is a community problem, if it, as we need to tackle that as well. And we do a large amount of awareness raising in communities through TV and radio, and so far we've estimated that over 94 million people have heard our campaign messages through different ways. Finally, the other area of work we do is around ensuring systems and procedures are in place to make sure reporting and recording of incidents are as easy and accessible as possible to children, teachers and parents and everyone in the community. And since the campaign launched, 27 countries have improved their reporting systems. Central to this is our partnership with Child Helpline International. Again, there's a report available around our work with them and how Child Helplines help to reduce violence against children in schools. So just very quickly, I know I've got much time left, but I'm just going to show you a short video, just a few minutes, hopefully, which just shows some of the progress to date.
Violence against children in schools affects about 1 million children worldwide every day. Bullying, sexual violence and corporal punishment, the reality millions of children face when they should be learning, growing and enjoying school. In Senegal, West Africa, this mother recounts an attack on her 6-year-old daughter when she was at school. The man threatened to kill Geneva, who was terrified to tell her mother what happened when she asked about the blood in her underwear. Her injuries left her in hospital for 2 weeks. The impact of this violence on children can be devastating and has wide-reaching social and economic consequences. Research commissioned by children's organisation Plan International reveals the cost of school violence in just 13 countries runs to almost $60 billion. Responding to concerns of its field workers, Clan launched a campaign